on the ballot would not be funded by the local sales tax and only the projects that were approved by the voters. And as Senator Rust mentioned, over the last couple of years, we've had a bill to allow local governments to enact local sales taxes on their own without seeking legislative approval in most cases. And so if the project met the certain definitions in the proposed law and other criteria, they could go ahead and impose the local sales tax without legislative approval. If there were some deviations outside of what was included in the proposed law, then the local government would have to come to the legislature for approval, as currently is the case. The bill included a definition of capital project, which were a little more extensive than the ones I just read. It included, for example, definitions of what a library was, what a park was, what a trail was. One of those criteria was that a park or a trail had to be located entirely outside of the metro area. There was another requirement in the bill that's been around for the last 2 years, that the total tax rate for a local sales tax could not exceed 0.5%. And there were some exceptions for if there's a local sales tax previous to this, they would kind of be grandfathered in under the new law, but anything going forward could not exceed 0.5%.
Thank you very much. And also, the question presented to the voters, that decision can be made not immediately, but the cities and local governments have 2 years to make that decision about when they want to present it to the voters. They have to do it within that time period at an appropriate election, and then and if they can certainly decide not to do it. It's not a requirement once the state has given the permission under what we're dealing with now. The local government, for whatever reason, does not have to present it to the voters. If they choose to do it, they have to do it within 2 years. Okay, so with that understanding, we have Senate File 3560. Senator Jasinski, welcome to the committee.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing the opportunity to present my bill, Senate File 3560, for a local sales tax request for the City of Owatonna. I will begin by walking through the bill.
Thank you.
Section 1, Subdivision 1, provides the City of Owatonna may establish a 0.5 or half-cent sales tax if approved by the voters at a general election. It also states that the rules governing the imposition of a sales tax apply. Subdivision 2 allows the city to collect up to $75 million for the construction of a community center. Subdivision 3 provides the city the authority to issue the bonds to finance the cost of the project, establishes the limit on the bonds must not exceed, that they may be paid from the secured by the funds of the city, including the funds under Subdivision 1, and that the bonds are not included in the computation of any debt limitation applicable to the city. Subdivision 4 terminates the tax after 25 years or the project amount has been received, whichever is earlier. Subdivision 5 authorizes the city to use any of the remaining funds collected from a previous local sales tax passed in 2006 for the purpose authorized in Subdivision 2 of this bill. This would be effective the day after the governing body of the City of Owatonna complies with the special law approval requirements for local governments. This project has been heavily requested by the Owatonna community, so they would like to provide the voters the opportunity to impose a local sales tax to fund it. With me is our city's mayor, Matt Jessup, to testify to the bill, and City Minister Jenna Tuma, who can answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Mayor Jessup, if you would identify yourself for the record, we'll receive your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Matt Jessup, and I am the mayor of the city of Owatonna. Thank you very much for your consideration of our request to bring before the voters the question of whether the city should impose a local sales tax. In 2022, the city's Parks and Recreation Department sought community feedback to develop the parks master plans. The city heard the same request it had been hearing for decades. Community members again ranked a community center as their highest priority. Since that survey, the city has established a task force to explore options for a community center and gain feedback from the community along the way. This task force includes regional partners such as the Owatonna School District, Steele County, and the Owatonna Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. Our city is a regional hub in south central Minnesota, and we knew from the start that we would need to include these regional partners, as the community center would not serve only the city of Owatonna, but also the surrounding communities. This community center will provide a safe, accessible place for children, teenagers, and adults to stay active and socialize. It would provide year-round opportunities for recreation and a range of services and facilities to serve all ages and community members. This will be a regional asset, which is why we believe that a local sales tax, should our voters decide to approve it, would be an appropriate tool to fund this project so that we can share the cost between our residents and visitors who will benefit from the facility. We greatly appreciate your consideration of our request and are available to answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there questions or comments? There is supporting document from the city of Owatonna that I direct your attention to, and also the revenue estimate, which shows that there is no impact on the general fund. Any questions, comments? Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just a brief question for Senator Jasinski or one of your testifiers. I believe our local sales tax law still requires a regional significance, and I see that in the document that it will, in your comments, it would also be available to people visiting your fine community. And my question is that though I'm looking at this document, it talks about the community and not the region, and I'm just wondering how are people going to be able to participate who are visiting Owatonna?
Mayor Jessup.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator. I would defer to City Administrator Tuma to answer that question.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome to the committee. Ms. Tuma, if you'd identify yourself for the record.
Yes, thank you, Madam Jenna Tuma, City Administrator. Madam Chair, Senator. Owatonna is kind of the hub of Steele County, and there's 3 other communities. And currently, our facilities serve the 3 other communities that lean on us for services. And so we see it as a regional, just in our own county, but also as a location on 35 and 14 where people come in for other activities too. So we see it as kind of a local, regional, and then a regional of the southern Minnesota area.
Madam Chair, thank you for describing the regional significance. I just wasn't clear, and it's a minor detail. I just want to avoid issues going forward. How it is that somebody who is not an Owatonna resident can access or use this facility, and that's nothing that we need to know today, but something that you'll want to flesh out as things go forward.
Well, Senator Nelson, I don't think they're going to build a wall around the city to keep people out. I think they're going to be extremely welcoming, which I find true of community centers everywhere, quite frankly, in the state of Minnesota.
Madam Chair.
Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just echo that, Senator Nelson. You know, I'm from Faribault, which is about 16 miles north, but Faribault, Owatonna, Waseca, Claremont, there's so many small towns around there that Owatonna really is the regional hub for the area down there. You know, if you're north of Faribault, you ought to go north in the metro, but if you're anywhere south of Faribault in that area, Owatonna is really the largest hub around it as well. You've probably traveled through there. And since we've done Highway 14 and 35, the intersection of Highway 14 and 35, there's been huge new developments because of the location, the accessibility through our road system. So I think it's a great place. Owatonna is very well known for their facilities. They have probably one of the most beautiful high schools in the state of Minnesota, thanks to their partners, Federated Insurance, and the local who all participate in that. I think Federated donated over $23 million to a new high school. Owatonna really understands the significance of having community assets to bring people to community. Owatonna is thriving. They have a thriving downtown. It's a very beautiful city if you haven't visited it.
So, Madam Chair.
Senator Nelson.
Just to finish, yes, Owatonna is a hub, and I do know there's great partnerships in many areas in Owatonna for many different things. And so I just offer that as a thought going forward in your presentations to make sure that that's very well-defined. Thank you.
Senator Nelson, you make a good point. We don't ask for explicit language in the bills about regional significance, but certainly in the promotional materials and also in the testifying, making a point of demonstrating that regional significance is at least significant in this committee. So thank you very much, Senator Nelson. Anything further for Senator Jasinski? Seeing none, thank you very much, Senator Jasinski, and Senate File 3560 will be laid over.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members.
You bet. Thank you. Next is Senate File 3601, Senator Westlin. Senator Westlin has an amendment. Senator Houschild offers the A1 amendment. All those in, this is an author's amendment. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. Senator Westlin, if you would take us through the sections of your amended bill now.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. And just for clarification, the bill was actually dropped last year in the House, and given what was going on last year, we did not drop it in the Senate. The DE amendment really just changes or updates the dollar amounts. The rest of this is the same as the original bill. So I do want to thank you for
Senator
hearing.
Westlin?
Yes.
You need to start by going through the bill, section by section.
I will. I just wanted to explain why we were doing a DE amendment, Madam Chair.
No, I understand that.
Thank you. So Section 1 of the bill would authorize the city of Plymouth with voter approval to establish a sales and use tax of up to 5%. And as with the prior bill, all of the rules governing the administration of that tax will apply. Subdivision 2 provides that the revenues of the tax authorized under Subdivision 1 must be used to pay for the expansion and renovation of the Plymouth Ice Center, the expansion of the Plymouth Community Center Field House, and for the Four Seasons Regional Sports Complex up to their respective limits. Subdivision 3A provides that the city authority provides the city the authority to issue bonds to finance the project for a total amount that would not exceed $135 million, and the bonds are not included in the computation of any debt limitation applicable to the city. Those bonds may be paid for or secured by funds available to the city from the tax in Subdivision 1. The bonds, as I mentioned, are not used in computing the overall debt limitation applicable to the city. And then Subdivision 4 terminates the tax after 20 years or after sufficient funds are raised for the projects approved by voters under Subdivision 2, whichever is earlier. And then finally, the effective date of this bill would be the day after the city complies with the statutory requirements for local government special law approval. And I will note, and then I do have Councilmember Gregor with me and also City Manager Dave Callister. These projects are truly regional projects, and these facilities serve not only the city of Plymouth, but the surrounding region. The city has been extremely thoughtful in their approach to this proposal and community engagement, and they wish to provide voters the opportunity to determine if they would like to impose a local sales tax. And I would then turn this over to my testifiers who can determine who's going to. All right, Councilmember Gregor.
Senator Westlin, first we're going to see if there are any questions, and I have a couple.
Okay.
Two of the purposes are for expansion and/or renovation. When was the Plymouth Ice Center built? Senator Westlin?
I'm going to defer. I actually don't know the answer to that question, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
I'll save my questions for your testifiers, except for one, and that is, and I should have asked Senator Jasinski, is there a companion to this exact proposal in the House?
They will be adopting the same language and the same dollar amounts.
And do you have any assurances that the House proposal is going to get a hearing?
It's my understanding that it will get a hearing.
Okay.
I haven't
That's not
heard.
always the case, so
I
that's why
haven't
I'm
heard
asking.
otherwise, I guess I should say. The other body is always a mystery to me.
Yes. It's true for all of us. Okay, any other general questions that are appropriate for Senator Westlin? Also would point out, I think you said that the sales tax rate was 5%, but no, it's
0.5. I apologize for the misstatement.
Let's
That
be
is
real
correct,
clear
Madam
about that
Chair. It's
one.
0.5%.
Okay.
So I
0.5.
apologize if I misstated
0.5.
that.
That's okay. Okay, the testifier is
Councilmember Gregor.
I don't have his name here. I know. Okay, I'm sorry. We had the mayor's name down, so you'll have to identify yourself and spell your name.
Thank you, Senator Rest and committee. My name's Clark Gregor. I'm a city council member at large, CLARK GREGOR.
Thank you very much.
The city of Plymouth is requesting authorization to allow voters to consider a half-cent local sales tax to fund 3 regionally significant recreation projects. These regional investments will serve tens of thousands of community members across the West Metro and the broader Twin Cities region. These projects include the expansion and renovation of our Plymouth Ice Center, the construction of a permanent field house at the Plymouth Community Center, and creation of the Four Seasons Regional Sports Complex. Plymouth is home to a growing sports tourism market that hosts local, state, and national tournaments that draw visitors from across the state and the country. And after decades of heavy use, our facilities need repairs, replacements, and upgrades for safety, accessibility, and efficiency. These improvements are in response to community feedback and demand for more sports and recreational spaces. Renovating our Plymouth Ice Center and adding a 4th sheet of ice will address maintenance deficiencies. It'll satisfy regional demand for ice time and create more opportunities for girls hockey and sled hockey, making the sport accessible for people of all abilities. Constructing a permanent field house at the Plymouth Community Center will replace our seasonally inflated dome, which is vulnerable to weather incidents and is in need of replacement. The permanent field house will help fulfill requests for year-round indoor recreation space and allow Plymouth to host more robust tournaments and events. And creating a regional sports complex at the former Four Seasons Mall site will address our Plymouth field shortage. It'll help alleviate regional demand for athletic field space and better equip the city to host leagues and community events. So investing in these projects will provide substantial benefits to community members and to visitors, to restaurants, hotels, and retail businesses, to youth sports programs and other organizations throughout our region. Given the regional usage of these spaces, we believe that a local sales tax would be an appropriate funding tool to spread the cost of improvements between residents and visitors, similar to how other communities across the state have done. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify in support of this bill, and thank you, Madam Chair, for your ongoing support and guidance as we've thoughtfully considered this request over the last few years. And we would be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Councilmember. The two questions that I asked, do you have answers for
So I
them?
believe the Ice Center was opened in 1994,
1998. 1998.
1998.
And the community center? When was that? This is for expansion of that, so when was that? When did that come into operation?
The community center, Madam Chair, was also originally built in
Same year?
1998, yeah.
Okay, and for the benefit of Senator Nelson, and I thank you very much, that you understand that regional significance is important, and you make statements about that on your handout. Senator Nelson, I draw your attention to that. So, are there questions or comments for either the author or the council member or the city manager? Seeing none, thank you very much. Senator Westlin, and Senate File 3601 is amended, is laid over.
Thank you for your time, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Next, we have Senate File 3633. Senator Johnson Stewart, on behalf of the city of Wayzata. This is this is not a local sales tax. This is a proposal regarding a food and beverage tax. Senator Johnson Stewart, I believe we have had this discussion in the past, and it is here again. So please introduce your bill and explain it, please, section by section.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, members. Thank you for hearing Senate File 3633. Senate File 3633 authorizes the city of Wayzata to impose a food and beverage tax in the city. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a few introductory comments before I explain the bill. Members, the city of Wayzata has a small population, just around 4,400, yet hosts large amounts of visitors from across the region and across the state. If you visited Wayzata, you know that it is a beautiful small town that provides public access to Lake Minnetonka for everyone. It is full of activity and people flock there year-round, whether boating, dining in our many bars and restaurants, biking, enjoying our Wayzata's chili open on the ice in the winter. Wayzata attracts thousands of visitors. So, Madam Chair, I would like to now walk through the bill briefly. Section 1, Subdivision 1 authorizes the city of Wayzata to impose a food and beverage tax up to 1%. Subdivision 2 delineates that the revenues are authorized to be used for parks, public safety, and costs related to downtown business attraction and retention, and can be used for capital, debt, maintenance, or operations. And Subdivision 3 allows the city to decide if they want the Department of Revenue to administer and collect the tax. Finally, the effective date occurs after the city of Wayzata and its chief clerical officer comply with the relevant Minnesota statutes. In closing, Madam Chair and committee members, I respectfully ask that you and your committee consider granting the City of Wayzata authority to impose a local food and beverage tax to assist the city in its stewardship of their public amenities that thousands of visitors enjoy. I have Mayor Andrew Mullen with me, who would like to testify on behalf of the bill, and City Manager Aurora Yeager here to answer questions.
Thank you, Senator Johnson Stewart. This is a question for, a general question for council. Is there a limit on the requests that can be made for the local beverage and food tax? I mean, they're requesting 1%. Is that a limit, or is that a common request, or what's the range that can be requested?
Madam Chair, members, the local special taxes, such as the Senator Johnson Stewart's bill here today, do not have the same requirements as the local general sales taxes. And so there isn't a limit on the amount of the tax rate or what the tax revenues can be used for, et cetera. So it can be anything.
And Ms. Pollock, what's the range? I'm just curious. It's
Madam Chair, I'd have to look. I know there are a handful at least that are about 0.5%, but whether we're in areas where there are food and beverage or admissions, entertainment taxes, those could add up.
commonly be 1%.
Or what I meant to say was that, kind of entertainment-related taxes could add up to about 1%, a 0.5% here and there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. And when we heard this bill before, there was, as I recall, concerns from the local business community. Are they now in support of this? Or at least the ones who came and testified with their, I don't know if I'd call it opposition, but maybe I should call it opposition. But is the local business community satisfied now with moving forward, at least in terms of general support? Senator, and that's a political question, so I'm asking you, Senator Johnson Stewart, do you feel comfortable that they're supportive now?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe my colleague Senator Morrison may have been here, or even Senator Osmek prior, so I wasn't here. And I don't have history, but Mayor Mullen has agreed to answer, if that would be okay.
Well, I'm just asking you, right now, are you confident that business community is?
Oh, I feel very confident, yes. I
that's-
thought
I
you
just
were
needed to
asking if
you
I
to
had
state that, and
information from
we'll
businesses.
hear from the mayor, but I wanted to hear it from you.
No, Madam Chair, I feel very good about this. I've seen, my husband and I, we don't live in Wayzata, we live north of it. I've seen the explosion of restaurants and opportunities in Wayzata, thanks, as you heard last time when we were here, to some of the investments the state has put into the river, or I mean the lakefront. And I think this is a really good idea. I've worked with Mayor Mullen on some bonding requests, and as you know, those are a little bit riskier to ask for. So I think given the number of visitors that are now in Wayzata and the fact that they want to direct this to public safety and local operations, I think is really good, and I'm supportive.
Yeah, local sales taxes are often accompanied by a request for bonding for when it is appropriate. I don't know that you can bond for food and beverage tax, but nevertheless, for projects
Right.
In your city. Questions? Senator Nelson, before we go to Mayor Mullen?
Oh, yes, Madam Chair, just a comment to your question. I did receive an email, unsolicited email from Hospitality Minnesota with their position on this particular, they call it a fast food consumer tax. I'm not saying that I agree with the position. I imagine this was sent to all tax committee members because the
Well, it's not included and was not sent directly to, just a minute, I can finish my statement. As far as I know, I don't see it in our packets that it was sent directly to us, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't pay attention to it. Okay? Sure, Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering, the application of the tax to intoxicating liquor and beer is included and called out in here. What do we know about the other similar food and beverage taxes that we have in the state? Do they have beer and liquor included in there, or would this be the only one, or is it some have it and some don't?
Senator Jasinski, Senator Johnson Stewart, will your testifier be able to talk about that, or in terms of generally, or should I ask Ms. Pollock?
Madam Chair, if you could ask counsel, that would be
Okay.
preferred.
Ms. Pollock, Senator Jasinski's inquiry.
Madam Chair, Senator Drazkowski, this type of tax is common in, throughout the state where local jurisdictions have a food and beverage tax. It would include intoxicating liquor.
Okay, welcome to the committee. Mayor Mullen, we're pleased to have your testimony. If you'd identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senators. Good morning, and thank you for your time. I'm Andrew Mullen, Mayor of City of Wayzata. I'm honored to have this opportunity to testify and share our City Council's request for your approval and authorization for a local food and beverage tax of up to 1%. This is really necessary to respond to rising service demands for public safety and maintenance of our newly created public spaces, particularly along the shores of Lake Minnetonka. For context, along the lake corridor alone, along Lake Minnetonka, in just a few city blocks, we have nearly 20 restaurants in a 3 to 4 block area. With a new opening plan later this year, our data shows that nearly 90% of patrons are non-residents. We're a small town, as Senator Johnson already articulated, of less than 4,500 people, but we've been grown into a significant regional destination. Employment alone daily doubles the city's daily population, and at peak visitor times, we top 10,000 people per day on top of that visiting our community. We're looking for a more equitable way to balance funding sources for our restaurant destination as well as our public space, which work together to make it a destination. We need and want these visitors for our restaurant community to thrive, but changing activity levels have required additional services and infrastructure. For example, a recent facility study found that our current police and fire facility provides only 25% of the space required for our long-term needs, with new facilities estimated to cost over $40 million. In addition to that, in recent years, due to this new visitor influx, we've added 4 police officers and 2 additional community service officers, taking us to a department of 23. And that's a significant jump in just the last 3 years. Furthermore, our new public spaces and Lake Walk will require ongoing maintenance. So ongoing investment in our parks, open spaces, and public safety, including capital debt maintenance and operations, will keep our downtown vital. It will continue to help our businesses grow and attract visitors and pay for the additional costs I just outlined that visitors bring to our community. I want to sincerely thank Senator Johnson for helping us with this request. As she stated, Wayzata is a busy and desirable tourist destination, and we welcome with open arms our visitors. We want the amenities that our visitors, businesses, and residents strongly value, and we want to ensure that they have the necessary public safety resources to keep Wayzata running smoothly and safety for our visitors, as well as our businesses, which include multiple modes, by boat, by car, by walking, by bike. We also want to note that our bill includes a provision to retrain and attract businesses as part of what the source of funding would be used for, in addition to our park and public safety needs. If granted the authority, we're committed to making this initiative work for our businesses. To answer or amplify Senator Johnson's answers about local support, over the last year, we've worked very closely with our business and restaurant community and have support for our restaurants in Wayzata that thousands of our daily visitors from across the region enjoy. We've hosted many one-on-one meetings with our restaurant owners, a number of focus groups, city workshops, chamber meetings, and business council meetings with this group. And this was to help them understand both the need for this tax and how, if this were to move forward, continued investment will directly benefit their businesses. By building a better understanding of our intent and source of, or use of these funds, we have largely earned their support, which is why you don't see the opposition here today. In closing, thank you, Senator Rest, for giving us this opportunity today, and we're available for any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Mullen. How common is it, and again, this is a more general question, for a food and beverage tax to cover the salaries of police officers? Ms. Pollack, do you know? And I don't know the range of activities or city services that a food and beverage tax can be used for, if there's a general, are there any limitations?
Madam Chair, no, there are not any limitations. And to your first question, I don't know. I'd have to look into the authorized uses of the various local special taxes.
Thank you, Ms. Pollack. Mayor Mullen, how long is this tax in place, or is there no sunset date?
If it pleases the chair, I would defer to my city manager, Aurora Yeager, with your permission.
Welcome to the committee. Ms. Yeager, if you'd identify yourself for the committee, if you can answer the question and maybe even amplify the answer would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Rest and committee members. My name's Aurora Yeager. I'm the city manager of Wayzata. The bill as drafted does not include a sunset date, so we don't have specific language on when it would end.
Okay. Senator Housechild first, and then Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Johnson Stewart. I'm just merely curious, as we're considering these types of things, I see that it covers malt beverages and liquor. I'm just curious, we've had a lot of conversations over the last couple of years about cannabis, and we know that cannabis products are in liquid form, similar to beer. Does this cover those THC drinks on top of the cannabis taxes that we've passed? Just merely curious.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Madam Chair, consensus at this table is we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Pollack, do you have any insight?
Madam Chair and Senator Housechild, so the term intoxicating liquor and fermented malt beverages are not defined here. Those are defined in the taxes chapters. I don't think when we enacted the cannabis provisions a few years ago that we modified those definitions of these alcoholic products, but I will look into that a bit and I can get back to the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Pollack. Thank you, Senator Housechild. And this might be an opportunity from Senator Housechild's question to modify that so that there is no ambiguity that the tax would be applied to a beer, but not to a can of THC. Because it definitely says intoxicating liquor, which is not THC, or a fermented malt beverage. So we'll look into that before the omnibus bill comes out. Senator Jasinski. Oh, I'm sorry. First, Ms. Pollack, did you have anything further?
Madam Chair, just to clarify, I remembered in the cannabis legislation a few years ago, prohibited local governments from imposing a tax on the sale of taxable cannabis products. And so those types of beverages
Would not be.
would not,
Okay.
under general law, notwithstanding this prohibition.
They're
yes.
subject to other taxes, but not a local beverage tax.
Madam Chair, correct. So local governments are prohibited from imposing a tax solely on the sale of taxable cannabis products.
Okay.
Got it.
So I think we cleared that up, and your bill is just fine the way it is, I guess. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Editorial comment on that, just until the legislature wants more, Madam Chair.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
It's always,
I'm just curious.
It's always your response.
I'm always trying to cover my side of the issue here, so I appreciate it. I'm just curious with the city folks, the fact, I mean, if this happens, is there a plan then to reduce the levy from the increase that you had to do in order to pay for these things in the last few years?
Senator Johnson, Stewart, or or Mayor Mullen, either one, Mayor Mullen?
Yeah, I mean, I think the intent here is,
say Madam
sorry, Madam Chair, I apologize. May I proceed?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you. So yes, part of the intent is to shift the burden, away from the local levy to this use-based for the people that are using our town at 2x our population. And so absolutely part of our fiscal plan is to diversify that revenue to reduce the dependency on the levy for our local taxpayers alone to carry this burden.
Senator Driscoll-Hallstein?
So, Madam Chair, I didn't hear, though, are you going to reduce property taxes?
Well, I mean, in the context
No,
of the
you have to
levy.
say Madam
Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Mayor
May I
Mullen?
address the question?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Music to my ears.
Are there further questions or comments for Mayor Mullen or the city manager? Ms. Yeager? Seeing none, Senate File 3633 will be laid over. Thank you very much, Senator Johnson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next bill is Senate File 3674. Senator Housley. Senator Housley, if you would take us first through your bill, section by section.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to present my bill for a local sales tax request for the city of Oak Park Heights. Section 1, Subdivision 1, authorizes the city of Oak Park Heights to establish a 0.5% sales tax if approved by the voters at the general election. It also states that the rules governing the imposition of a sales tax apply. Subdivision 2 allows the city to collect up to $41 million for water infrastructure. Subdivision 3 provides the city the authority to issue bonds to finance the cost of the project for the total that may not exceed $41 million and lists the requirements and rules associated with issuing the bonds. Subdivision 4 terminates the tax after 20 years or once the project amount has been received, whichever is earlier. And finally, the effective date provides that this would be effective the day after the governing body of the city of Oak Park Heights complies with the special law approval requirements for local governments. Madam Chair and members of the committee, our community has been dealing with PFAS contamination within our water system and is working diligently to address it, but it's very, very expensive. This is a problem that they must deal with to make sure that our community has clean and safe drinking water. With me today is the mayor of Oak Park Heights, Mayor Doherty, and City Administrator Jacob Wright, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Senator Housley. And once again, for Senator Nelson's inquiry, appreciate that in your handout you discussed the regional significance, which is what we, one of the things we look for. You don't have to explicitly state it, but you do have to make the argument for it. I'm curious about, and I haven't had a chance to read through all of this, but what are the water, and this, if you would address this in your testimony, the water infrastructure improvements. What's happened to the water infrastructure in Oak Park Heights and well, in Stillwater as well, because you reference it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I will have Mayor Doherty address the Oak Park Heights.
If you would, in your testimony, if you would address my question, that would be great. Welcome to the committee, Mr. Mayor, and if you'd identify yourself for the record, we welcome your testimony.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, members of the Tax Committee, I'm Chuck Doherty, Mayor of Oak Park Heights, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. Madam Chair, thank you for hearing this bill, and I would also like to thank Senator Housley for authorizing this bill and her strong advocacy for our community. Oak Park Heights is a small city, less than 5,000 residents, located along the St. Croix River Valley. Our residents, businesses, and visitors rely on our city's infrastructure, especially our water system. After decades of use, our water infrastructure is aging and in need of investment. Further, PFABs have been detected in our water system. Our community has been working diligently to address this issue of PFABs contamination. Providing clean, reliable drinking water is one of our most fundamental responsibilities as a city. For our community, this has been a challenge with PFABs in our drinking water system, and this is not a problem of our making. However, it is our problem to contend with. Our water system currently serves 5 regional water users, including Washington County Government Center and the Stillwater Area High School. We are respectfully requesting authorization to take this referendum to our voters for a local sales tax to help fund improvements with our water system. And Madam Chair, I also have City Administrator Jacob Reif as a resource, and thank you for your time today.
Sure. Mr. Mayor, and maybe you said this as I was trying to read through your handout, how old is this system?
Maybe
I'll call on your city administrator, Mr. Reif, and if you'd identify yourself for the record.
Yep, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jacob Reif, I'm the city administrator for Oak Park Heights. We have water mains, water infrastructure that go back to the 1960s here, and so this is not just PFAS, but looking to ensure that our water mains are properly maintained in our city.
Are you finding that you're having to deal with breaks and street flooding? That kind of issue, is that what has brought all this to your attention over the past maybe decade?
Yep, Madam Chair and members of the committee, it's absolutely. We had a water main break that got pretty significant media coverage last year. KARE 11 had a story, the Star Trib, Pioneer Press. As the mayor and Senator Housley have mentioned too, PFAS is a challenge that we need to deal with, and pretty significant one at that. And so those are pretty tough challenges for a city of our size of less than 5,000 people.
The law does not allow local sales taxes, not what I'm proposing or in these guidelines specifically to be used for roads. But is there any, with the further discussion of this purpose, is there any prohibition about using a local sales tax specifically for local water infrastructure?
Madam Chair, to the extent that the water infrastructure projects would meet the definition of a capital project, which is a single structure or building, yes. But otherwise, we'd have to not withstand that definition for other projects such as we've done like sewer improvements, sewer systems, things like that. and
Have
we've
they
not
been
withstood-
allowed in the past?
Madam Chair, yes.
But it needs a notwithstanding clause,
Madam Chair, yes.
which is not in this current legislation.
Madam Chair, on 1.15 and 1.16,
There it is. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would draw members' attention to that, where it is asking for an exception. Okay. Any other questions for the mayor, the city administrator, or Senator Housley? Senator Hemingson-Yeager.
Not really a question, but just kind of a comment. Also being from a community in the East Metro, Woodbury's dealing a lot with water infrastructure redoing our water mains, our piping, our whole new water treatment plant. So I can totally appreciate the needs for water infrastructure, especially, I have constituents whose kids go to Stillwater High School. We continue to develop in the East Metro and grow, so I can appreciate what you're going through.
Any further conversation? Thank you very much, Senator Housley, Mayor, and Mr. Reif. Senate File 3674 will be laid over.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Senator Dornink? Welcome to the committee, Senator Dornink, who presents to us Senate File 3689. There is an author's amendment. Senator Housechild offers the A1 amendment. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say no. The motion prevails. Amendment is adopted. This is a delete everything amendment. So now, Senator Dornink, since the bill is in the shape that you want it, if you would start with explaining Section 1 before we go to testimony in favor of the bill.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair. Section 1 authorizes the City of Austin to extend 0.5% local sales tax, which was authorized in 2006. Subdivision 2 requires the tax revenue to be used for collecting and administrating the tax and to finance up to $28,400,000 plus associated bonding costs for law enforcement center, including the previous purchase of the land, utility, site work and design services, and construction and maintenance. Subdivision 3 authorizes the city to issue bonds to finance construction of the law enforcement center and to authorize expenses if the extension is approved by the voters as required under current law. Subdivision 4 requires the tax to terminate after the earlier of 20 years or when the city council determines sufficient funds have been raised to pay for the project and financing costs. Effective upon the filing of local approval with the Secretary of State. And Madam Chair, I brought City Administrator Mr. Craig Clark to be my testifier.
First, are there comments or questions? There is a handout in our packets, and I'm looking to see whether it, because otherwise I'm going to ask whether there is statements about the regional significance. I don't see anything specific, so I'm going to ask your city administrator if he would first respond to that, and then you can go ahead and make the case. But if you would talk about regional significance.
Thanks, Chair Rest. Craig Clark, Administrator, City of Austin. Austin is a regional hub of Mower County. We have an influx of about 20% of our population come in to work in Austin. 40% of our sales tax are generated by people coming in and frequenting our businesses in the community. We also have about 21,500 vehicles that pass through the City of Austin on I-90 on a daily basis. And certainly our dispatchers, when a 911 call comes in, we don't ask them if they're residents of the city. We service all that call for emergency services to the City of Austin.
You may continue.
Okay.
Do you have other?
Chair Rest and members of the Tax Committee, we're here to ask for your help in improving Senate File 3689, authorizing the City of Austin, upon approval of the voters, to extend our half-cent sales tax to provide $28.4 million to build a new law enforcement center and pay for the issuance costs of the new facility for our Austin Police Department. The sales tax provides the only practical alternative for this significant expense for the city. Our property taxpayers and city budgets are under heavy pressure with inflationary costs, personnel expenses, and many other items within our budget. The needed project, this needed project goes nowhere without your approval. Currently, the Austin Police Department is co-located with Mower County in the Law Enforcement Center. The study that we commissioned demonstrates that we're significantly space challenged for the Austin Police Department. Hearing other testimony today of how old the facility is. Our facility is from 1975. It's a great year. I was about 5 years old, so it's quite a long time that Austin Police Department's been using the same facility. So that needs assessment that we conducted demonstrated that we need to nearly double the square footage that we currently have. Our facility needs to be more welcoming to the public upon interviews for victims or suspects. We need to provide a modern workplace for our challenged workforce landscape. As you all know, law enforcement's very challenged to find individuals to serve in this capacity. We don't have a functioning garage component of our current facility. Our decontamination room and armory and tactical rooms are really kind of makeshift areas within the current facility. Wellness and mental health promotion are something that's significantly that we try to address within the department. Having a facility that helps provide for those things as well is something we're looking for. And then just the natural growth that the city of Austin has had over the time since the building's been utilized before. So that's kind of a nutshell of what we're looking for the city of Austin and the Austin Police Department to bring that forward. Be happy to answer any questions you, Madam Chair, or any members may have.
Certainly. Are there any questions or comments? I have nothing to do with your bill, but with the operation of this room. When the door back there is closed, we do not hear the noise from outside. So for those of you that are regular visitors to this hearing room, if you would be very careful to shut the door quickly and open the door quickly and not just let it swing out there. Eventually it shuts, but if you could be attentive to that, we would appreciate it very much. Are there questions or comments? You have a lovely city. When I was serving in the House, we had these, during the interim, we would have Capitol away from the Capitol. I don't know how long you've lived there. They were very, very informative sessions that the House conducted, not only with hearings, but also with families in your wonderful city hosting members of the Minnesota House at, an evening meal, and it was, we found it to be a very welcoming city, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And a good friend of mine who's now deceased, who served there, and in the Senate, Pat Piper, you perhaps remember her, and I don't know, Senator Dornink, if you knew her, but she was an outstanding member representing your community.
Yeah, Madam Chair, the city has, we call it Pillars of the City. It's kind of a focal point trail in our downtown. Different notable people are recognized on the various pillars around a walkway that we have, and Senator Piper is on one of those.
Great. Okay, any other questions or comments? Then Senate File 3689 as amended will be laid over. We did adopt it, did we not?
Yes.
Okay. And, okay, we just adopted it. However, the DE amendment differs from the bill as introduced. How? I should have asked that question first.
Madam Chair, could you repeat the question? It was.
Yeah, we adopted the DE amendment. So how was the DE amendment different from the bill as introduced? And I'll just ask Ms. Pollack to explain that.
Madam Chair, members, the DE amendment in substance is exactly the same. It just is specific to the fact that the This bill would be extending a tax that is set to expire as opposed to imposing a new tax, which is how the bill was drafted initially.
Yes. Nothing more than that, which is a great deal. I'm not
Yeah.
putting it down, but it is not, it's not any major changes there. Did we vote on that motion? Okay, so we've adopted the amendment, and just to be sure, Senator Housechild is, I'm just going to now lay the bill over as amended, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Sure, thank you very much. The next bill is Senator Wesenberg. This is not a local sales tax. The record will show, because as you know, it is a policy of this committee not to hear bills that have 5 authors of the same party. And we spoke with Senator Wesenberg because I was interested in the bill, and 2 of the Republican authors volunteered to take their names off so that it would meet the policy of this committee. And I then myself became a co-author of the bill, so that not only does it not have all 5 Republican authors, which would have disqualified it, but it also is bipartisan. So, Senator Wesenberg, thank you for coming before the committee. Our policy is for you to explain the bill. And so that means starting in section 1, if you would look at the language, I'm assuming you have it in front of you. Would you tell us what is the substance of section 1?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In section 1, subdivision 40A, so this is a bill for helping SROs with a tax credit if they would volunteer in schools. The value of unpaid volunteer service by an individual performing duties as a school resource officer is a subtraction. The service performed by an individual who is a school resource officer and not performed in the individual's capacity as a school resource officer is not eligible for the subtraction under this subdivision. Section B, the subtraction under this subdivision equals the number of hours of unpaid volunteer service as a school resource officer multiplied by the hourly wage that would have been paid to the school resource officer if they were employed. Subdivision C, to claim the subtraction under this subdivision, an individual must provide documentation from the school for which the unpaid volunteer service as a school resource officer was performed. That includes the number of hours of service and the hourly wage that would have been paid to a school resource officer by an employer to an employee who is a school resource officer, or by a person to an individual who is a school resource officer. Subdivision D explains the definition of school resource officer wages, and the internal IRS codes. So I came to this bill as a member of education policy. Last year we were going through school resource officers. We had some school resource officers come and testify, and it sounded like there was some places where they were running out of money and they didn't have SROs. And I didn't have anyone come to me. I just thought, a way that we could maybe, if a school resource officer is volunteering, they could use their time that they volunteer as a tax write-off. I know as a volunteer myself for a certain amount of things, volunteers do it not for the money, but because they like what they do. But this is something that's needed in schools. And I did speak with, what was his name? Austin Henry in Wright County. He's a SRO, and they have about 16 SROs in Wright County. They did have a meeting yesterday. They didn't seem to oppose this. They don't know of a lot of, or any volunteers that they're aware of in maybe the metro area. In outstate, there could be some areas. I know in my hometown, Little Falls, we had some issues with trying to come up with money, so they had to juggle things around to try to get the funding for it. This isn't meant to get rid of paying SROs. It's just if you work your time and you want to volunteer extra time, or maybe if you're a retired SRO and you want to volunteer your time as a retired SRO in schools a few days a week, then you could use that as a tax write-off, and this would help our schools greatly, I believe.
Okay, thank you, Senator Wesenberg. So there are questions and concerns that, that are accompanying this proposal. But I did think it was an interesting one for us to review. It certainly doesn't have a huge revenue impact. We're going to lay it over, but it seems to me it needs more work.
It does, yes.
Okay, all right.
This was just an idea I had. I'm
Get that
not a
clear
tax
from
person,
myself.
but
Are there any other questions and or comments before we lay this bill over? Seeing none, thank you very much, Senator.
Oh.
Senator Hemmingson-Yager.
Since we're, kind of a question, and then that might determine whether I ask my question.
Okay.
If this is getting more work and getting laid over, is it appropriate to ask questions kind of about the bill right now, or hold off
Sure.
on it? Okay.
And I would, some of the answers may be in the revenue estimate about all the unknowns.
Fair.
If you want to look at that, but go ahead and ask them. We'll see if they're answered in the revenue estimate.
Okay. I guess my question kind of comes down to, I always appreciate volunteer service. People do it, because it's very meaningful to them. My concern is that when people are volunteering in their professional capacity, they should be getting paid for that work. And my other concern then too is when they're volunteering in a professional capacity, then what employer is assuming the liability for that employee? I don't know if you have answers to that right now.
thank you.
You have to wait to be
I'm
recognized.
sorry.
Senator Wesenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, no, that's why I said I don't believe this should take over as saying if you're working 40 hours a week that you're not going to get paid. This would be above and beyond. So if you want to volunteer, then this would be a thank you, right? Or like I said, if you're a retired SRO and you're at home and you want to do this, then I think that's noble, and this would be something that they could use that for. The liability, I don't know. I'd have to have help looking into this. I don't have those answers. I would need someone else that knows more about that to look into that.
The, I don't know which day it was, but we did have a bill that we just heard about AmeriCorps workers and providing subtraction from, this is a little bit different. It's kind of like a reward for being a volunteer, though not but I think the indication is not to be in competition with paid school resource officers. But so we thank you for bringing it before us. And with that, Senate File 3778 is laid over.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Then the last bill before us is Senate File 3590, whatever it is, 3592. Another custom of this committee is that the chair's bills, Mr. Sandvik, are heard last. So that's why you're last on our agenda.
Welcome to the committee, Madam Chair. If you can introduce Senate File 3592 and walk us through the bill?
Sure. Mr. Chairman and members, Senate File 3592 is also an authorization for the city of Robbinsdale, which is a city in my district, for a sales and use tax that's subdivision 1. Subdivision 2 is how the proceeds would be used, and that is for cost of collecting and administering the tax and financing up to $40 million, plus the associated bonding cost for the Public Works facility project. The subdivision 3 is the bonding authority, and subdivision 4 is the length of time for the sales tax to be collected, the earlier of 20 years after the tax is first imposed, or when the city council determines that the funds have been raised. That also includes the effective date which is effective the day after the governing body of the city of Robbinsdale, City Council, and its chief clerical officer comply with the law otherwise. The original request included also using the tax for a park in Robbinsdale, Sandboard Park, and the handout that you have in front of you still includes reference to that park, but the authorization is not extended to that because our guidelines do not permit parks in the metropolitan area to be eligible for a local sales tax. And that guideline was established because in the metro area, unlike Greater Minnesota, there are other funding sources and resources for local parks, mostly through the resources of metro parks and activities of Met Council. I think there are at least 2 sources there. So it's not appropriate for a local sales tax to be used in that way. And I'm not going to take this handout and draw a line through the references to the parks, but the language with reference to a park was eliminated with the understanding of what the guidelines are, and I hope that the city administrator will support that change that is in this bill, and also explain the regional significance. Thank you, Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll go to Mr. Sandvik. If you could introduce yourself for the record and go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. My name is Tim Sandvik. I serve as the city manager for the city of Robbinsdale. For those not familiar, Robbinsdale is a first-ring suburb of Minneapolis. Some say the first-ring suburb, and I bring that up as to a part of why we're here today supporting Senate File 3592. The city of Robbinsdale faces some unique challenges in that we have underground infrastructure, a lot of what you're hearing about, but some of which is over 100 years old. Our current levy and utility funds go towards those efforts and make it a significant challenge for us to take on capital projects like we're here talking about today. The Public Works facility that's been proposed to you is a vintage 1950s facility. It is failing in a number of capacities, including mechanicals, some structural pieces showing some safety concerns. And it's ultimately a facility that we've literally outgrown, that if you can think of 1950s vintage, just doesn't support the snow plows and fire trucks and the mechanical work that we need to do. The regional significance, we believe, is captured by the services that the city of Robbinsdale provides to the region throughout a variety of capacities, those visiting our downtown businesses, other opportunities through our systems, the Public Works
crew is required to maintain these systems in an efficient and safe manner to, again, support the city of Robbinsdale. With that, at a high level, wanting to share out, again, believing we've hit the marks and meets the spirit of the bill, Robbinsdale is here requesting support of Senate File 3592.
Thank you, Mr. Sandvik. And with that, is there any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none. Madam Chair, any additional comments?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your attention, and I would request that you lay the bill over.
Excellent. With that, we will lay over Senate File 3592 for possible inclusion in a Senate tax omnibus. And
Thank you.
announcements.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask Mr. Bergeron if he would review the schedule for next week.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next week, we will not be having committee on Tuesday. We will be having committee on Wednesday. We'll be taking up a number of more local sales tax bills, a couple other smaller bills relating to some issues. And then Thursday, there will be no official committee or floor due to the Eid celebration.
Because of Eid, yes. Okay. Mr. Chairman, you may adjourn the committee.
thank you. We are adjourned.